Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the 2019 graphic novel book, Stranger Things: The Other Side. This is from Dark Horse Comics. We know and love Dark Horse books from, they've done the Last Airbender comics, Avatar: The Last Airbender, they've done the Legend of Korra comics, and there's a slew of other different franchises, but we know and love them. We, as in the royal we, I, know them from the Avatar books as well as the Stranger Things books. So this came out May 2019. So what is up with it? This is the first Stranger Things comic book, right? So then there's a sequel. There's plenty of Stranger Things comics, which we are going to talk about. Plenty of graphic novels we're going to talk about. And there's also 4 novels released as of right now, which we have to get and read after the Heartstopper and Alice Osman book series that we have to get through as well. We got a lot of things to read. So the other side is Will's story. So we have flashbacks of him playing D&D with his friends in Mike's basement. Prior to the events of him being kidnapped. What was it, June 6th of '83, and not kidnapped, but taken to the other side. November 6th, '83, November 3rd, '83, November 1983, one of those days. And so it's Will's perspective. It's the story of Will in the Upside Down, on the other side, because season 1 of Stranger Things is the real world dealing with Will's disappearance, figuring out, is he dead, figuring out the cover-up, figuring out what's a Demogorgon, figuring out how to defeat the Demogorgon, figuring out how to get Will back to the real world, right? We know that as the season 1 story arc. Incredible story arc that it is. But we don't know what is happening to Will in the Upside Down. This graphic novel explores that. So Will is taken into the Upside Down by the Demogorgon in the shed after he shoots him with the shotgun. He takes the shotgun with him, not enough of ammo, but runs into his house, not realizing that he's in a different version of the real world. So everything is dark and got slimy stuff and vines and whatever, right? We know that. So he hides under his bed. He is fighting the Demogorgon yet again, shoots the Demogorgon actually in the face, blows off part of one of the flappy parts of his mouth. And so he's now running for his life around the town, trying to, escape. He comes across an aspiration of Elle at some point after she escapes Benny's, in the Benny's t-shirt. She, Will hears someone screaming, runs to where the screaming is. He hears someone screaming out Nancy. He happens to stumble upon a pool, finds some glasses, but doesn't see a body there. That's Barb. We know that Barb was taken into the Upside Down as well. As the story progresses, he's hiding again in the house. He's talking to Joyce through the lights. He's trying to get through the portal door in the wall that Joyce finds. But the Demogorgon is, trying to get Will. He's literally trying to get Will, take him back to the library where he's keeping all of his victims to hibernate, to then gestate other, Demo-Polywogs turning into Demodogs, turning into Demogorgons, as we know and love from season 2. So Will then is also in the woods when Nancy happens to stumble through a portal. She is facing off a Demogorgon. She's trying to hide. Will actually distracts the Demogorgon by throwing a rock. That's how Nancy has enough time to escape back into the portal. But the portal closes, the door closes prior to Will being able to get back in. What else? Will happens to stumble across one of the hunters that's mentioned. He's eventually then taken after his hideout in Captain Byers, in Castle Byers, and Elle, who he doesn't know who she is, says, Will, hang on, your mom's coming. But then after Elle, goes away, the apparition dissipates. Will is taken by the Demogorgon to the public library. We get a flashback of Mike and Will at the public library, reading up on a Stephen King book, preparing for another campaign for D&D. That's what's really nice about these comics, is we get a lot of flashbacks of their childhood prior to middle school, prior to the start of season 1, prior to the campaign in Mike's basement, which is where, the original story starts. So it's very interesting watching all this progress. And then eventually Joyce and Hop get Will, bring him to, the real world. He's in the hospital. They all have their, he got me, the Demogorgon got me. But Will is still seeing flashes of the Upside Down. So he's seeing a zombified Joyce and Jonathan in his mind, but we don't see that in the TV show. We only see it in the book. Very cool, different perspective. There's always different perspectives. There's different perspectives of a story. So just because there's one side of the story doesn't mean that the one side of the story is actually accurate. You have to listen to different sides of the story, to then form the educated opinion after hearing multiple versions to figure out what is actually true, what is actually false. So to have this being about Will's story on the other side, in the Upside Down, very interesting, and having the Mind Flayer literally talk to him in his mind leading up to the events of season 2, the events of season 3. Very cool having that behind the scenes aspect, the different perspective of Will, because we didn't get that in the first season. We only got the real world aspect of Will. We didn't really get the Upside Down version of Will. Very cool, very smart, very quick. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Stranger Things, The Other Side. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.